Hello everyone, I'm Never Done. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that has been requested by our many viewers, like one, in regard to the booth setups. Now, I've talked about how to create like enamel pins and how to prepare your products and also, what you need to do at the booth. But I didn't talk about one very critical thing that does make or break your day at Comic-Con or any other con. It is preparing the basics of what you need at the show, because while products are super important, if you don't have food or something like that, you're going to have a pretty rotten time. So let's go see what the different things are that I bring and that you might want to think about too. Now, depending on how many people you have helping you, usually it should be at least one. Don't do these shows by yourself because, that's just not a good time. If you need to leave your booth for any reason, it's going to be unattended if, you're the only one. And some cons don't allow that. So you do need to make sure that you've got a friend, watches the booth, watches your money while you're not there. Very critical. And it just gives you some time to take a break during the show, because if you're there for the whole day, you don't want to be stuck behind a table the entire time. You need to stretch your legs. Now, when you're traveling there, remember that you're going to have to carry everything that you're bringing. Typically, I like to have everything together with me. So I have this box. This carries most of my essentials. And what's in this? Well, beyond the basic things like display elements, I've got a lot of trinkets just in case the worst happens. When I go to this con, the next one I'm doing is Ottawa Comic-Con, I always intend for everything to go wrong. I've planned out my display, how everything's going to be set up. I know how much space I have exact down to the centimeter, and I know how it all works, and I've got it all prepared. I've tested it night before, week before, whatever, and should go perfect. But I assume that everything is going to fail, so I bring stuff with me to fix all the mistakes that are bound to happen. What are some of those things? We don't know what they are. You can't anticipate everything, so bring a variety of things to address a lot of different issues, such as cutting implements. Bring scissors if you don't have scissors, or maybe X-Acto knife as well. These are great for who knows what. You might have to improvise, and scissors are definitely needed. Obviously, bring tape as well. I needed tape and scissors when I realized I needed to cover something up with paper because my pricing wasn't good and I needed to make a new price sheet. So, paper to the rescue, needed to fit inside my display, so I had to cut it down, write it, which brings up, bring pens. Need pens to do some writing because, if you don't bring any pen, you can't take notes, you can't keep track of anything. You might need to and you didn't plan for it. And also bring a Sharpie, because if you need to make any signage on the fly, this is probably your best bet if you don't have your own printer with you. Additionally, elastics. Why? Hey, why not? They don't take up much space, they're not very heavy, and they could rescue your display if it's starting to fall over and you don't know why. It could be a quick rescue. Also, maybe bring some packing tape, a little bit stronger than Scotch tape, and if you have more bigger disasters, this could save you. And just bring paper, white paper, line paper for keeping track of things. If you didn't have your sales tracking prepared, line paper will save you there. Not the greatest solution, but a solution. And also, of course, white paper, because if you need to make signs, prices, or something like that, it's good. And really, I did need that because when I did my price sheet, I found that some of the items weren't selling at the price that I had set, and I did not have the ability to change that effectively. So I just cut out a little snippet for just the price. I slipped it inside the sign. It was kind of obvious, but not that bad as scratching it out and writing a new number. That doesn't look very professional. It did save me. Of course, also you need protection for your cash. So you have a cash box that locks. Now, and coins. Bring a lot of coins because most people at cons are paying in cash, and they really, you're going to need the cash coins to make change. Bring bills too, of course. Now, remember that cash box, don't make it too heavy. There are some that are like 6 tons, so they can't be stolen. And really, you need to lug these things around the show with you. So it does have to be something you can carry. But bear in mind, that's not a security measure. If you leave that unattended, it can be gone no matter how heavy it is. And the lock, kind of meaningless, because you should not leave that thing unattended ever. The lock is just so that, peace of mind if you turn your back for a second. But if you leave it, it can get got into. Those things aren't very complicated. So pay attention to your lockbox all the time. don't turn your back. More importantly at the show is personal comfort, in addition to just addressing possible disasters. One of those things is bring water. Bring lots of water. You might have some other drinks that you prefer, but definitely at least water. You need to stay hydrated, because if you start getting a headache at the show, you're just going to become very cranky and very rude to everybody that comes up and wants to talk to you. You'll have a hard time keeping it together. Stay hydrated. And also, you don't know what's going to happen, so you need some Kleenexes. Either to clean up a mess, wipe off a sign, or if you just have a runny nose and you didn't anticipate it, it's hard to talk to people if your nose is running. Now, to stop your nose from running, sorry about the noise, in my kit, I also have to bring the Purell. You really don't want to get sick at these shows. If you do shake someone's hand or make any kind of physical contact, or really just in general, keep swabbing yourself with this Purell, just to kill all them bacterias, because you might get sick at the show. A lot of people do. Keep this as your first line of defense. It might stave it off for those few days that you're at the show, and then after that you can get sick. Who cares? But during the show, you really don't want to get your voice lost or hoarse or anything like that. That's a big problem. But again, the water should help you with that. Don't forget also to test your payment devices. If you have any, one or the other, Square or his Dream Payments, have them ready. Test them before you go. Do a few test purchases on your phone. Just make sure that they work. And, if you have a little issue last minute, you might want to test it more than a day before, because if there is an issue and they have to mail you a new one, you may not have time to get it back before the show. I have two just as a backup, because if one starts to malfunction, I'm going to switch over to the other one. That is obviously a more expensive option, but what are you going to do? Now, don't forget your charger, of course. Sometimes people forget these things at the best of times, so don't forget the charger. Now, what are you going to charge it at? A lot of cons charge for power, charge for charging, and you don't want to pay that. And if you're not going to pay for that, you need to get yourself some kind of a charger. This is a beefy charger. It even allows charging of these AC sockets. That's a bit excessive. A lot of not free, but there's a lot of chargers for phones that are affordable. This one's intended me for more, if I want to do lighting on my booth, I could run some LED lighting off of this. Not forever, but good enough. And I just want a large charge supply, because I don't know how much power all of these devices are going to be draining, like this thing. So I just want to have that backup. I don't want to risk running out of power, and it's actually cheaper to buy that expensive supercharger than it is to pay for 1 day of electricity at the show. So it's a good investment, because you can keep reusing that thing. You can't reuse the power that you do or don't use at the show. Now, also with these payment devices, of course, they rely on data. And a lot of you have phones that do have data. If you don't, a lot of phone plans offer like a short-term data use, maybe 15 megs for the next month. That's exorbitantly expensive, but less expensive than upgrading your plan, which you may or may not be able to do. So that's what I tend to do. I just sign up for, 20 megs, and these things don't use a lot of data. Don't watch YouTube, of course, but it does offer a solution if your show doesn't have Wi-Fi, or you don't want to pay for the Wi-Fi, because again, it's usually cheaper to get it yourself another way. And one thing I didn't do at the Comic-Con last year that I regret, and that I didn't really know about at all, was this. Okay, not these particular shoes, but the shoes that I was wearing at last Comic-Con were fairly flat. They were comfortable, but they weren't that soft, and I didn't realize that, because I don't spend a lot of time standing for hours and walking around for hours on concrete floor. But my shoes were not soft enough, and after some hours, my back was killing me. I couldn't stand up straight. I had to sit down all the time. And I was told by other more seasoned congoers, you need to wear soft shoes. And of course, some of them had soft carpeting placed down on the floor behind their desk. And that is a brilliant idea. Just lay down a thick carpeting with under padding, as much as you can get really, on the floor behind your desk. Now, then you can take off your shoes even and just walk around in sock feet on soft carpeting behind the table. Nobody can see you anyways, and nobody can see the carpet. But it provides you a lot longer longevity with your ability to walk and stand at the con. And you'll just be more comfortable, a lot more comfortable. And you need that, because you're standing for maybe 8 hours or more. And if you're not used to that, which a lot of us aren't, because we're sitting down and drawing, because we're artists, wear comfortable shoes. I don't know if these ones are actually, probably not. And bring some kind of carpeting and with underpadding just to soften it up, and because you don't want to be standing on hard floor that long. All right, now the last thing I will leave you with, the very last thing, and there are other things that you might want to consider bringing. Look at other people's lists of what they bring on the internet. That's what I did. I researched other people first, and it paid off a lot because I used about 40% of the things that I brought, which doesn't mean I'd planned poorly. It just means things came up that I didn't anticipate. The booth was a bit differently sized than I expected it. Things needed to be changed around. I had to put up like little signage somewhere here and there. People didn't notice my price sheet because, hey, people don't look at price sheets. They look at the products on display. So I had to change things around at the last minute. And I didn't have any printer or computer or anything to do it with. So the last thing I want to leave you with is this. Take a piece of paper before you go to the con and write down everything that I've said and everything else that you research and you find important to bring, and write it down. And everything you really need to do before you go to the con, like get data for your phone plan because you're going to need it for your payment devices and stuff like that. Bring water, bring a little bit of snacks and food. Even though you have food at the event, it's good to have something just handy in case you can't get out to get food and you're too busy. Write down everything. Make a list, a to-do list, a checklist before you leave the house. Because on the day that you need to leave, you need to go through that. Because if you forget something before you go, there's no going back. Because these things open and close at a certain time, and you have to be there the whole day. And if you forgot something, you're maybe not selling that product, or you're maybe not got the shoes that you meant to wear, or you don't have the Purell, or some other little thing that didn't seem that important, and you really didn't think about it, but you thought about it before, and you're ready, but the list will save you. So get it written down. Bring a lot of these things. Bring the other things that you might think you need, string or something like that. Depends on the setup of your booth too, because maybe it can break in different ways that mine can't. Mine's pretty straightforward, but yours might be complicated. So prepare for breakage, prepare for failure, and you'll have a good day. So I'll see you guys next time. So if I bring multiple chargers, can I just like charge this charger off of this charger? Does that get me more power or less? Thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful. I do hope that the things that I've said are helpful for you. And remember, this is probably incomplete for you. So go through your setup, look at what you're going to be doing, and bring stuff that will fix whatever is probably going to break or be missing. So thank you. Good luck with your cons. Until next time, see you later.